Carloz Alcaraz just hit 50 career weeks at #1 in the ATP rankings, and the timing couldn't be more perfect for rubbing it in Jannik Sinner's face. At 22, Alcaraz is younger than Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, and yes, Sinner when they reached this milestone. Only 2 players in history got there younger. Sinner's sitting at 66 weeks but took way longer to get there. This is awkward. Before we break down why this milestone is absolutely massive and why Sinner's probably feeling some type of way about it, I need to know. Who do you think will have more career weeks at #1 by the time they both retire, Alcaraz or Sinner? Drop your prediction in the comments.
First victory at the Monte Carlo Country Club.
All the practices has been focusing on I have to be better if I want to be Jannik.
Carloz Alcaraz just crossed a threshold that only 13 other players in ATP history have ever reached. 50 career weeks at world #1. And he did it at 22 years, 7 months, and 10 days old, making him the 3rd youngest player ever to accomplish this feat. Let me repeat that for the people in the back. 3rd youngest ever. The only 2 players who got there younger? Lleyton Hewitt at 21 years and 8 months, and Jim Courier at 22 years and 6 months. That's it. That's the entire list of people who reached 50 weeks at #1 younger than Alcaraz. And you know who's not on that list? Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic, and most importantly for this conversation, Jannik Sinner.
Oh, come on.
You're kidding me. How has he won that point?
If you lose your focus 1 or 2 points against Jannik, I think this is everything. That's what makes playing against Jannik really, really difficult.
Sinner, solid as a rock.
But really, really happy that the way that I deal with everything and come through.
Let's talk about Sinner specifically because the comparison is absolutely delicious. Sinner currently has 66 career weeks at #1. That's more than Alcaraz's 50. But here's the kicker. Sinner didn't reach 50 weeks until he was 23 years and 9 months old. Alcaraz just did it at 22 years and 7 months. That's a full year younger. A full year. In tennis terms, where players are constantly compared on who achieved what at which age, that's absolutely massive. So yeah, Sinner has more total weeks at #1 right now, but Alcaraz got to 50 weeks way faster and way younger. That's the kind of stat that has to sting a little bit when you're Sinner watching this unfold. The ATP rankings history only goes back to 1973, but that's still 52 years of data. In that entire time span, only 13 players before Alcaraz reached 50 career weeks at #1. 13. Out of thousands of professional tennis players who've competed over 5 decades. The list of players who've spent 50-plus weeks at #1 reads like a tennis Hall of Fame roll call. Djokovic with 428 weeks, Federer with 310, Pete Sampras with 286, Ivan Lendl with 270, and so on. Alcaraz at 22 has just joined that elite club, and he's got potentially 15 more years of elite tennis ahead of him to keep climbing that list. Let's look at the full breakdown of players with 50-plus weeks at #1 because the context is important. 428 weeks. Novak Djokovic, 310 weeks. Roger Federer, 286 weeks. Pete Sampras, 270 weeks. Ivan Lendl, 268 weeks. Jimmy Connors, 209 weeks. Rafael Nadal, 170 weeks. John McEnroe, 109 weeks. Bjorn Borg, 101 weeks. Andre Agassi, 80 weeks. Lleyton Hewitt, 72 weeks. Stefan Edberg, 66 weeks. Jannik Sinner, 58 weeks. Jim Courier, 50 weeks. Carloz Alcaraz. Alcaraz is currently sitting at 14th on this all-time list. Sinner is at 12th. But the trajectory is what matters here, and Alcaraz's trajectory is absolutely insane. Alcaraz's 50 weeks at #1 have come across 6 separate stints. His first stint was the longest, 20 weeks between September 12th, 2022 and January 29th, 2023. That's when he first burst onto the scene as the youngest #1 in ATP history after winning the US Open. Then he had 16 more weeks across 3 smaller stints later in 2023. And now he's added 14 more weeks in 2 additional stints during 2025. That's how you build a legacy. Consistent returns to the top spot, proving it wasn't a fluke. One of the benefits of finishing the year as #1, which Alcaraz did in 2025, is that you keep accumulating weeks at the top throughout the entire offseason. So while Alcaraz is currently on vacation somewhere, enjoying his success, his weeks at number 1 counter just keeps ticking up. That's gotta be annoying for Sinner, who finished 2025 ranked number 2 despite winning the ATP Finals. Sinner had an incredible season. He won more matches than almost anyone. He beat Alcaraz in several big encounters. He proved he belongs at the absolute top of the sport. But he still finished second in the rankings because Alcaraz had more points overall. And now Alcaraz gets to rack up weeks at number 1 while everyone's on off-season break, further padding his resume and closing the gap on Sinner's total. Let's talk about the age comparison more specifically because it's genuinely shocking how young Alcaraz is to hit this milestone compared to the all-time greats. Here are the youngest players ever to reach 50 weeks at number 1. 21 years and 8 months. Leighton Hewitt, 22 years and 6 months. Jim Courier, 22 years and 7 months and 10 days. Carloz Alcaraz, 22 years and 7 months and 30 days. Pete Sampras, 22 years and 10 months. Jimmy Connors. After those 5, there's nobody else who did it before age 23. Alcaraz beat Pete Sampras to this milestone by 20 days. 20 days! That's how close this race was. But here's what's really wild. The big 3, Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic, are widely considered the greatest players in tennis history. They combined for 66 Grand Slam titles and completely dominated the sport for 2 decades. And Carloz Alcaraz reached 50 weeks at number 1 younger than any of them. Federer didn't hit 50 weeks until he was 23 years and 5 months old. Nadal was 24 years old. Djokovic was 25. Alcaraz beat all 3 of them to this milestone. At 22, he's already accomplished something that took the greatest players ever another 1 to 3 years to achieve. And Jannik Sinner? He didn't reach 50 weeks until 23 years and 9 months. That's a full 14 months older than Alcaraz is right now. You can argue all day about who's going to have the better career between Alcaraz and Sinner. You can debate who has the better game style, who performs better under pressure, who wins more head-to-head matchups. Those are all legitimate conversations. But this particular milestone, Alcaraz got there first and got there younger. That's just a fact. And facts don't care about your feelings or your favorite player. The bigger question is what this means for the future. Because both Alcaraz and Sinner are still incredibly young by tennis standards. They're both going to be competing at the highest level for potentially another 15 years. Djokovic spent 428 weeks at number 1. That's the record. That's the mountaintop. Is it realistic to think either Alcaraz or Sinner could challenge that? Probably not. Djokovic's dominance was so complete, so sustained over such a long period, that his weeks at number 1 record might stand forever. But could Alcaraz or Sinner get into the 200-plus range? Absolutely. Alcaraz is currently at 50 weeks at age 22. If he maintains anything close to his current level for the next 5 years, he could easily accumulate another 100 to 150 weeks at number 1. That would put him somewhere between 150 and 200 career weeks, which would place him firmly in the top 10 all-time. Sinner is at 66 weeks at age 23. His trajectory is similar. If he can have a few dominant years where he holds the number 1 spot for extended periods, he could push into that same range. The rivalry between these two is going to define the next era of men's tennis. Everyone knows that. They're the clear best players of their generation, and they're going to trade the number 1 ranking back and forth for years to come. But right now, in this moment, Alcaraz has bragging rights on this particular achievement. He hit 50 weeks at number 1 a full year younger than Sinner did. That's the kind of stat that gets brought up in debates and commemorative videos. It's also worth noting how Alcaraz accumulated these weeks. He didn't have one massive multi-year run at number 1 like some players. He's had 6 separate stints, which shows his ability to return to the top after losing it. That's actually a valuable skill in modern tennis where the competition is so fierce. Very few players hold number 1 for years at a time anymore. The game is too competitive, the field is too deep. Being able to lose the ranking and then battle your way back multiple times demonstrates resilience and consistency. Alcaraz has now proven he can do that. 6 different times he's climbed to number 1. 6 times he's proven he belongs at the very top of the sport. And he's doing it with a game that's absolutely electric to watch. The drop shots, the speed, the power, the creativity. Alcaraz plays tennis that makes casual fans stop and pay attention. That matters for the sport's popularity and growth. Sinner's game is more methodical, more based on consistency and power from the baseline. It's incredibly effective, his results prove that, but it's not quite as flashy or entertaining as Alcaraz's style. That might seem like a superficial distinction, but in modern sports where personality and marketability matter enormously, playing style matters. Alcaraz is fun to watch in ways that draw in casual fans and create viral moments. The fact that Alcaraz just reached 50 weeks at number 1 also coincides with another impressive stat. He finished 2025 with 12,050 ranking points, the most any player has earned in a single season in 9 years. The last player to earn more was Andy Murray in 2016 with 12,410 points. So Alcaraz didn't just accumulate weeks at number 1, he did it by having one of the most dominant seasons in recent ATP history. That's not sneaking into the top spot on a technicality, that's earning it through overwhelming excellence. The comparison to Lleyton Hewitt is interesting because Hewitt is the youngest player ever to reach 50 weeks at number 1 at 21 years and 8 months. Hewitt was an incredible competitor who maximized every ounce of his ability through fighting spirit and determination. But Hewitt only finished with 80 total career weeks at number 1. His peak was brilliant but relatively short. Alcaraz, with his superior talent level and more complete game, has the potential to far exceed Hewitt's career total. Jim Courier, the second youngest to reach 50 weeks, finished with 58 career weeks total. So Alcaraz has already nearly matched Courier's career total, and he's got years and years left to build on it. The real question is whether Alcaraz can challenge the totals of the all-time greats. Can he get to 100 weeks? 200? It's possible, but it will require sustained excellence over many years. And he'll be battling Sinner every step of the way, because Sinner isn't going anywhere. He's going to keep winning tournaments, keep pushing for Grand Slams, and keep fighting for that number 1 ranking. The dynamic between these two is fascinating because they're so evenly matched yet so different. Alcaraz has more flair and creativity. Sinner has more consistency and power. Alcaraz seems to perform better in big moments. Sinner seems to grind out more wins over the course of a full season. Their head-to-head record is relatively close. Their ranking points are separated by small margins. They push each other to be better, which is exactly what great rivalries do. But today, this week, this moment, it belongs to Alcaraz. 50 career weeks at number 1 at 22 years old. Third youngest in ATP history. Younger than any of the big 3. Younger than Sinner by over a year. That's the headline. That's the achievement. That's what gets remembered in tennis history. And somewhere, Jannik Sinner is looking at this milestone and thinking, I've got more total weeks than him, but he got there so much younger. That's got to create at least a little bit of competitive fire, a little bit of motivation to prove he's still the better player. Which is exactly what makes this rivalry so compelling. Neither player is going to let the other get comfortable. Neither is going to concede superiority. They're going to battle for every ranking point, every Grand Slam, every week at number 1. And tennis fans are going to benefit from watching two generational talents push each other to greatness for the next decade plus. But for now, for today, Carloz Alcaraz gets to celebrate a milestone that only 13 players before him in ATP history have achieved. And he gets to do it knowing he got there younger than almost everyone, including his biggest rival. So there it is. Carloz Alcaraz reached 50 career weeks at number 1, younger than Sinner, younger than the big 3, and younger than almost everyone in tennis history. Sinner's got more total weeks right now, but Alcaraz has age on his side. If this breakdown gave you perspective on this rivalry, hit that like button and subscribe for more tennis content.